3 seconds can change everything. 3 seconds is all it takes for a single idea to take root, for a moment of belief to spark a lifetime of purpose. Imagine a child sitting quietly in a small room surrounded by uncertainty, raised in circumstances that offered no guarantees and no shortcuts, yet carrying inside him a question that would shape the future. What if I could be more than where I started? That question, whispered in the silence of poverty, would one day echo across the world. He was not born into comfort or power. His childhood was marked by instability, by the absence of privilege, by financial strain that pressed in on everyday life. There were moments when the future felt blurry, when belonging felt uncertain, and when the world seemed too large and unforgiving. But even in those early years, he discovered something powerful: words. Words had weight. Words had rhythm. Words could explain pain, express hope, and create meaning where chaos existed. Books became his refuge. Learning became his escape, and curiosity became his compass. As he grew, he began to understand a truth many never realize: hardship can either shrink you or sharpen you. While others were discouraged by circumstances, he leaned into them. He listened. He observed. He questioned. He paid attention to the struggles of people around him and noticed patterns: how systems worked, how communities were shaped, and how voices, when united, could demand change. He learned early that leadership doesn't begin with authority, it begins with understanding. School was not always easy. There were moments of self-doubt, moments when he felt like an outsider, moments when expectations were low and skepticism was high. But he refused to let labels define him. Every challenge became fuel. Every criticism became motivation. He learned to articulate ideas clearly, to defend them thoughtfully, and to engage others with respect rather than arrogance. Over time, he discovered that influence is not about overpowering others, it's about inspiring them to believe in something bigger than themselves. He didn't chase success for applause, he chased purpose. While many pursued comfort, he pursued service. He stepped into communities others overlooked, working alongside people who felt ignored, unheard, and underestimated. There, in those neighborhoods, he learned the heartbeat of real leadership. He learned that policies are meaningless without empathy, that promises are empty without action, and that true power comes from lifting others up rather than standing above them. Higher education became another proving ground. Surrounded by brilliance and ambition, he was tested intellectually and emotionally. Doubt followed him, but he didn't run from it. Instead, he refined his voice. He learned to think critically, to argue with logic, and to lead with integrity. He understood that preparation is the quiet work done long before the spotlight appears. While others focused on outcomes, he focused on growth, knowing that mastery is built in silence. When he entered public life, the resistance was real. Many questioned his background. Some doubted his readiness. Others underestimated his resolve. But he had learned something essential: you don't need permission to lead, you need conviction. He spoke with clarity, not theatrics. He connected through shared experiences, not empty slogans. People didn't just hear his words, they felt them. He represented possibility, not perfection, but progress. And then something extraordinary happened. Against expectations, against history, and against entrenched barriers, he rose. A man who once stood on the margins now stood at the center of global attention. His election was not just a personal victory, it was a symbolic breakthrough. It told millions of people watching around the world that no circumstance is too small, no beginning too humble, and no dream too big when paired with discipline, courage, and perseverance. But reaching the top was not the end of the journey. It was the beginning of greater responsibility. As president, he faced crises that demanded composure, criticism that demanded resilience, and decisions that carried global consequences. Leadership tested him daily. Yet he remained grounded in the values forged in struggle. He listened. He learned. He reminded the world that strength is not found in volume, but in vision. Not in fear, but in hope. He understood that influence is not about domination, it's about inspiration. He spoke to nations not as a conqueror, but as a collaborator. He reminded people that progress is collective, that democracy is fragile, and that the future belongs to those willing to work for it. His presence on the world stage redefined what leadership could look like: thoughtful, measured, inclusive, and principled. His story teaches us something vital. Poverty is not a life sentence. Failure is not a verdict. Rejection is not the end. Every obstacle is a lesson. Every setback is preparation. The path from struggle to significance is never straight, but it is always possible for those who refuse to quit. What matters most is not where you begin, but who you become along the way. So if you're listening to this right now, feeling unseen, underestimated, or unsure of your place in the world, remember this story. Remember that greatness often starts quietly. Remember that your voice matters, your effort counts, and your dreams are valid. You don't need perfect conditions to begin, you need courage to continue. Rise every day with intention, learn relentlessly, serve authentically, speak boldly, and never allow your circumstances to convince you that your future is limited. History is written by those who believe they can shape it, even when the odds say otherwise. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of what's possible, then take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us spread stories that ignite belief, inspire action, and remind the world that greatness can rise from anywhere.